Welcome back, YouTubers. Thank you for checking out this episode of the Darwin Pond Show. All right, we are beginning episode 6. It's looking more and more likely that the triple stroker, the three-armed, the rowing species, are we going with triple stroke? I have no idea. Still sounds naughty. But it looks like that's going to be a dominant species here. And this is usually about the time when you see it become very clear what species is going to own the pond. There's a lot of color variation in these triple strokers, but and we're probably not going to see any change in that. I don't see a homogeneous color species emerging in this mess. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe it'll over time it'll start to even out, But there's such variation here, and I'm concerned about the motion, though. I mean, they're doing well. Obviously, they clearly in this environment from our random genesis that we set up. This is clearly the most fit so far. And like I said earlier, mutations they're not common, and when they do appear, they're normally fatal. They normally result in some really freakish examples of nature going wrong. Occasionally you will get that mutation and that creature will reproduce and stuff like that, but it requires not only a beneficial mutation, which is, you're talking about a rarity in a rarity already, but then you're talking about that him being in an area where there's enough food and mates to be able to carry on that genetic profile without dying off, especially in an environment with an existing large population where there's stress from competition and food scarcity. And it looks like there's a couple of the angelfish ones still alive in here, but they're dying out. Yep, we got the lemon limes. We got all kinds of funky colors going on here. And it's if you start watching a lot of this, obviously me editing all these videos, I'm seeing all this quite a bit, and you see little stories going on. You see the certain color species, not only a bigger species, but then the tribe or the race, if you will, which is what the color denotes. You see that changing, and you can see the changes coming. Like we got these colors coming in right here on the center top right, the blue and pink and yellow and stuff like that. And you got the lemon lime ones over there mingling with all those colors over there. But the ones coming in on the right over there, right over here, those guys have a good chance with access to that food to that color group. You could see spike, and you get used to when you watch a lot of Darwin Pond, you start seeing these like tribal type of stories play out, and then it gets interesting. Maybe you'll get a mutation within a certain color group, and it'll stay. Maybe there's a small, three or four of them that find a food source, when food is scarce, and they have a mutation and they stop producing. Well, now there's like a localized population that has a mutation in it, and you'll start to see that drama play out. If they survive and find the food sources and continue, then you can see like a tribal mutation take over the pond, where even in the midst of a huge number of creatures, we got over 200 right now moving around. There could be one in here with a tiny change to that limb, and he's a particular color, and that might affect not only the greater species, the refinement of his species, but it might change the whole tribal racial mixture too. And if you think of these colors in terms of races, it even is more profound because it's okay. We can relate to that in our own way. Is there one racial tribal group that dominates others? Is there a mixture of things based on ability? I mean, obviously in Darwin Pond here, it's a lot simpler. We don't have things like law and culture and all that crazy stuff. So in here, it's all about survival of the fittest on a basic scale. But no, it gets you thinking about the localization of populations, the mingling, what the different attributes of the tribes or the races bring to the table, and how those would mix together. And again, in a very simplistic fashion. Obviously, you're talking about really primitive little creatures here moving about their business, but it can help you learn stuff and think about stuff when it's so simple like this. You can think about other issues and build up from a simple foundation rather than trying to decipher layer upon layer of all the stuff involved. Looks like we're heading in the pond here. We're heading towards the next, selection process where the food's gonna, as this mass in the top here runs into that food and eats it all, you're gonna see another large round of die-offs, and the ingenuitive little critters will find a way. Like that color group there in the center, slightly to the bottom of center. Yeah, there's not too many out here. No food, real good patches of food either. There's a little convoy headed down there, but there's not a lot of food down there. But yeah, you got some heavy color mixing there at the top. That's crazy. Real melting pot going on up there, or a war if you look at it from a certain perspective. They're directly competing right now for food and mates in that mass of critters. And it could be that one creature chooses his mate and another does too, and the other one gets there just a hair before he does. And, maybe that breeding process, because it consumes energy, makes the partner that the other one wanted, unable to reproduce. It's got too low energy. So that guy doesn't get to pass on his genome. Little weird, little dramas like that, make games like this tolerable, I guess. Make your own story type of thing. Yeah, look at the color variation in here. That's interesting. A lot of lemon lime ones in there. All pushing for those little clusters of food. Think they know there's not enough for everybody? Yeah. No, they don't, right? They're just following basic rules set about by the environment they live in. Or is that what we're all doing? Too heavy for Darwin Pond? Gonna crack some philosophy in here? Are human beings doing what these little creatures are doing, just far more complicated version? They have limbs and they're swimming. We have vehicles and we're driving to go work somewhere to get food so we can reproduce and raise younglings. I don't know. Oh yeah, mad crush towards the food down here. Yeah, and you can see the selection process right there. Some are swimming off into the nether over there where there's no food. A little bit of luck rolled in there, right? Yeah, I'm not sure how far away they can detect food or if it varies per creature. Sometimes I try to watch, groups that are together and see who goes after what food, if there's a difference. They do. It seems like they can at least pick different food sources. Um, I mean, they're definitely all rushing for one over on the right there, but then you have one next to it going for that food when the other ones could have too. So I'm thinking that is the case, that they can choose a food source. Maybe they have a certain line of sight or range of vision, and even a millimeter more might be an advantage. If they can see food just a little bit farther away, they might catch the outer edge of a field that's regenerating. Like down in the south there, the ones that are coming down on the right side. If one of them can spot that food on the edges of that cluster that's growing, that'll lead them right into the pasture. Lead them into the promised land. Yeah, I'm not seeing too much variation though in that major group that's heading south. That one that we saw earlier, purple, blue, etc. I guess there's a few colors popping out in there. But the way these colors are mixed with this species here, I don't think we're gonna be able to know. I'm guessing at the end of the season, this creature will probably still be around. Possibility of a mutation because it's multi-limb. There's a lot of movement that can change. But I'm probably gonna say that this creature or something very very similar to it is gonna be the dominant one at the end of the season. But the color, the racial profile, so to speak, I have no idea. It seems like it's changing pretty quick, and you got a lot of, even within creatures that are the same colors, like this large group, There was a little family convoying out there. But yeah, like this group here, they're fairly homogeneous in color, right? But that can vary because mutations can occur in color too. So a blue limb can turn, what's next to blue, purple, um, green, whatever. If you think about a color spectrum, the colors that mix together and where they are next to each other, I think that's how that works. So you'll see some small variations like a limb changing color, and that can alter the future color profiles or species profiles and thus the mating preferences. That's the effect that it has on that over time. But yeah, you already see some wide variation here, right? You got the green limbs popping up there. Nope. I thought there was more than that. My eyes deceived me for a second. But you just got that one right there with the green tips on his limbs. And we'll see if maybe that gets passed on to anybody. I think he just mated right there. What else we got going on here? Oh, look at that one. Oh, mutant. Oh. Oh. 3 limbs at least, but good lord. That's an example of a majority of the mutations that you see. They don't usually work out too well. And you can see the population sink up there down to 80, and it's the food starting to increase as a result. So that die off is well underway, and it looks like the new generation's rising up down here. Oh, we got some convoys there on the left coming down, like watermelon candy swimmers right there. So it looks like we're going to see a story of those watermelon ones in the top left coming down and meeting these blue tipped ones. I don't know what to call them. Oh, you got some other ones in there. Lemon lime guy in the lead down there swimming down, and maybe some others looking to mate with that one. So they're following him, and that's how they find food. Sometimes is that one pioneering fast swimmer gets to a food source, and the ones trying to catch him to drop an egg are following close behind. So he ends up leading them right into a food source. And I certainly don't mean to say he, as in these are all male. That would be a little unnatural, I suppose. No commentary there, by the way. Just reproduction purposes. Yeah, there's some watermelon ones. See how there's like 3 or 4 of them there? They're gonna go towards a food source on the left side, following, their mating instincts. Same thing here. You can see the 2 swimming down with eggs on the left there. Wow, you got a big spike in color variance there. Whole new tribes popping up right in the midst of the population. And it could be, I don't know. It looks like that swimming motion, at least on a few of them's getting a little more efficient. Like that guy jumping out in front there with the blue head. I mean, they're all swimming together, and he's clearly maintaining that lead, if not inching forward a little bit. And then you can see others that are swimming directly for food. One's just always a little behind or lagging. Wow, the last push for the food, he snatched it. Yeah, it's so we got these triple rowers, the triple strokers that are definitely looking like they're going to be the dominant species here. Wow, this group's going to do well. Look at this watermelon candy ones, we'll call them. They're going to hit the top of that new pasture on the side there and maybe eat their way down, would be my guess. If they go up, they could be in trouble, but if they head down, they're going to merge with that other group, and you're going to see a big mixing. And any changes that they accrue in their little mini journeys will be passed on as they continue towards, they continue towards the food source, inevitably to their doom, though, because like we've seen, they're going to eat themselves into a famine. But that's how it goes, right? All right, we'll have to see how this plays out. I think we can call our dominant species, though. That's it for this episode of the Darwin Pond Show. Thank you for tuning in, and there'll be a new episode coming soon.